Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. Let's do the whole darn weekend. Saturday, the 29th of August, National Chop Suey Day. August the 30th, Sunday, National Toasted Marshmallow Day.
I love toasted marshmallows.
Or do you love roasted marshmallows?
I love burnt marshmallows.
National Grief Awareness Day, Sunday, and National Beach Day. So, all of those things. And if you're struggling with grief, maybe go to the beach and have some toasted marshmallows. Also, coming up today, going to visit with Emmy Award-winning comedy writer behind HBO's Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, Jill Twiss. She's won multiple Emmy Awards. She's from the same state that I'm from the state of South Dakota. Also, a #1 New York Times best-selling author. 2 different children's books that are out right now. And she's got a brand new book out. It's called Everyone Gets a Say. And it offers a really cool little message about getting your voice heard, which is neat. And if you do the whole Twitter thing, she's really, really funny. At Jill Twiss on Twitter. Thanks for listening. We'll have that and much, much more on the way this weekend.
The old way of living with diabetes is a pain. The new way is with a continuous glucose monitor. You simply apply a discreet, easy-to-use sensor on your body. If you test your blood sugar at least 4 times per day and inject insulin at least 3 times per day or use an insulin pump and have private insurance or Medicare, you might be eligible for a CGM with little or no cost to you. Call now and say goodbye to finger pricks.
800-659-7805. That's 800-659-7805.
Now, surveys and studies and such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com. A new survey found that global air travel is down 85% in 2020.
Of course it is.
People are freaked out by all the new rules. And there are some countries that won't let people from other countries in their countries. So, of course, travel is going to be down. We traveled just within the last week by air, and you could never tell at the airport the travel was down.
No, but you definitely knew in the airport that
everybody had masks
it was,
on.
Yeah,
there was something going on, but it
horrible.
wasn't like it was really slow. It was busy. So that is a little survey there from Surveys and Studies and Such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com. If you have a credit card, our friends at BetterCreditCards.com would like to make sure it's the best credit card for you. Take a few minutes to look at your current interest rate and then see what you get for points and perks. Then go to BetterCreditCards.com to see if they can help you find a better credit card. This will literally cost you nothing, and it could help you save money by getting a better credit card. Even if you don't have a credit card right now, you can check it out too at BetterCreditCards.com. That's BetterCreditCards.com. This is your Brain on Drugs, brought to you by Time4Rehab.com. Police in England were called after a Range Rover crashed into an iron bridge on Saturday night. Officers say the vehicle was missing a wheel that was found a mile away from the crash site. I don't know how that happens.
Okay.
Must have hit it and that they just kept rolling, maybe? Photos on Twitter show the Range Rover, major damage to the front passenger side where the wheel was missing. On the back of the car was a bumper sticker which says, "I'm not drunk, just avoiding potholes." Guess what? He was drunk. Charged with driving with excess alcohol in his breath after blowing double the driving limit while he was in custody. So it's kind of funny that his bumper sticker said, "I'm not drunk, I'm just avoiding potholes." Meanwhile, he was drunk. I've got a link to that story if you'd like to read it, also in the show notes. And there's also a link to the website, Time4Rehab.com. So if you're having issues and need some help, they'd love to help you. Thanks for listening. By the way, that right there is what happens when your brain is on drugs.
John and Heidi.
Now, big screen, little screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com. Kendall Jenner and Hailey Bieber were spotted on a Malibu beach. That's the end of the story.
So they're just hanging out together?
Apparently.
That's awesome.
So that's the story.
So glad I know that.
Bella Hadid cuddled with goats in a $3,000 dress in her latest photo shoot. I believe it was Bella in the dress, not goats. But it says she cuddled with goats in a $3,000 dress.
Right.
Doesn't it sound like the goats were in the dress?
Yeah, pretty sure it was Bella.
I think Bella was in a $3,000 dress while she cuddled with goats.
I think so.
The way they had it written. And Hailey Baldwin is in the news. She is the face of Levi's 2020 voting campaign. So Hailey Baldwin.
Why does Levi's have a voting campaign?
I don't know. Good question. I've got a link to the story. You can read it there and get all the details. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show bonus hour this weekend.
If you take Viagra or Cialis, call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Call 800-214-7977. 800-214-7977. 800-214-7977. Again, that's 800-214-7977.
Now your scoop of the day. It comes your way courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. A judge has sealed transcripts from the hearing over Britney Spears' conservatorship, denying the public knowledge of who is in charge of her finances. So we read a story last week. Not even
That said
earlier
their
this
parents
week.
were.
Well, it said that her dad was.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was just a guess in that story, because I never believe the news anymore. By the way,
Of course not.
anything I tell you on here, it's just because I'm reading it somewhere else. So I hope I'm right. But anyway, they're saying that that's the case. So Kevin Federline probably has no idea who's giving him his allowance these days.
Nice.
I stole that from the internet. Sorry. L.A. mayor ordered the city to shut off the power at the Hollywood Hills party house of TikTok star Bryce Hall after he repeatedly violated lockdown orders. So the mayor said, shut off. That
bothers me.
It is. It just seems like maybe that's a little too much power.
It's overreaching.
But I also understand where they're saying, hey, you're not supposed to be doing this. But at the end of the day...
This says who?
Yeah. Oh. This is one of those things where we could get ourselves in all kinds of trouble, skating out onto thin ice, or we could say, let's move on. Tanya Zakharov, the woman who created the F Factor diet, is denying rumors that her weight loss plan causes severe side effects. Her protein bars cost $30 for a box of 12.
Whoa.
So that's more than $2 per bar. But here's the thing. I got to tell you, I've had online a lot of people making fun of that, saying that it's really expensive. But I will tell you what I've said numerous times about other diets that I've heard of. If it works, wouldn't you say it's worth it? So if it works, if that does the trick, I don't know if it does. I'm not defending it because I don't know anything about it. Have you ever heard of the F Factor diet?
I haven't. No.
Me neither. But online they're saying that there are terrible weight loss side effects. And she's going, no, there's not. There's really not. So I don't know. I've got a link to the story if you want to read all the details. Maybe if you figure it all out, you can let me know. San Francisco is being plagued by a group of homeless people, free-range people, that have been using the streets as a restroom.
Gross.
Near the Dome of Eateries. So they're just utilizing the streets.
Just using the streets as restrooms anywhere is disgusting.
But then to do it in an area with a bunch of restaurants? Yeah, not good. Elon Musk is in the news. He announced on Twitter that he plans to unveil his Neuralink brain chip this week. So did he do that this week? Or is it coming up this coming week? I never really know. And customers...
I really don't pay attention to that guy. I know everybody is, for whatever reason, super fascinated with him. I do not care what he's doing. No.
One last thing. Customers now can buy marijuana from vending machines in Colorado.
Isn't that super?
Apparently that was illegal before, but now it's legal. So there you go. That's going to do it for your scoop of the day, brought to you by InsuranceChicken.com. Nobody wants to buy car insurance. It's not a fun thing to think about, but it's something you need if you want to drive your car. So even if you don't want to buy insurance, you probably have to get it from someone. So why not buy it from InsuranceChicken.com? Okay, I'll admit, our website name is dumb. InsuranceChicken.com. Yeah, our marketing department is not that great. But our selection of insurance options is amazing. See if we can save you money each month on our dumb website, InsuranceChicken.com. That's InsuranceChicken.com. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. Super excited to visit with a very funny young lady, Jill Twiss, and she's from HBO's Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, but she's also a #1 New York Times bestselling author, got a couple of different books out. And Jill, you've got a new book out, don't you?
I do. It's called Everyone Gets a Say.
And now the desired audience for this is actually more of like a youth audience, isn't it?
Yes. Although for the past 6 years, up until just a few months ago, I wrote for late night TV. I also write children's books. I wrote at first a picture book called A Day in the Life of Marlon Bundo. And this is a picture book for kids, around 3 to 8 years old or so, called Everyone Gets a Say, and it's about voting.
Nice. Very, very cool. Now, this new book that's out right now, What is the book about, and what are people going to learn when they read this book to their kids, or would it be more like the kids read the book themselves?
Sure. Well, you never feel sillier than when you're explaining the plot of a children's book to adults, but it's about a snail named Pudding who has friends in the forest who are fighting all the time, and they realize they need someone to be in charge, and they don't know how to decide who gets to be in charge, whether it should be, the biggest animal or the loudest animal or, maybe the fluffiest animal. And Pudding, who doesn't get listened to very much, has an idea, which is that maybe everyone gets a say. And he teaches them all how to vote. And they vote, and they choose their leader. And this is something that older kids might read by themselves, but often parents will read this to their kids. And it's just for kids to learn that voting is a way that even the quietest voices can be heard. That, even if you're not maybe the bravest kid or the loudest kid, your voice is still just as important as everyone else's.
So is this based on a true story? Was there really a snail? No? Yes. This was based on a true snail, actually named Pudding. I got the rights to the story. I was very lucky. A bidding war. I think it sounds absolutely adorable, and I think that's really kind of a neat thing. Now, let's talk a little bit about your time at Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, because you were there. How long were you there? It was quite a while, wasn't it?
I was there for 6 seasons, yep.
And during the time you were there, a couple Emmy Awards, that show did really, really well, didn't it?
Yes. I got maybe the most exciting thing that ever happened in my life is that I got to give an Emmy Award to my parents. So they are in Custer, South Dakota, and they have my trophy. And, there's not a lot that I can do with a trophy in my studio apartment in New York City, but my parents have taken it to their Rotary Club meeting. They've taken it to my mother's bunco game. I think when they just go to random people's houses, they take the Emmy with them. So they are now famous in Custer, South Dakota.
That is fantastic. So are you from Custer, South Dakota?
I'm not really from anywhere. I grew up all over. We moved all the time, but I grew up in places like Custer, South Dakota. I grew up in Idaho, Utah, Montana, Nevada, Minnesota.
So you guys were on the run, is what you're saying.
We were running from the law. Now's the time to tell you. No, my dad worked for the Forest Service.
Oh, nice.
So we were living at ranger stations all over out west.
But, I think that probably gave you a very unique perspective of the world, because you didn't see just one little corner of it. You got to move around quite a bit and shaped you in a completely different way than people who are sedentary and never, ever leave their town.
Yeah, I think that especially now when our country feels a little bit divided sometimes, and it feels like, the people in New York don't understand the people in Idaho, and there's something really nice about having experience living, literally in the middle of nowhere, 50 miles from a town of 300 people. And also, right now, I live in Manhattan. I'm in Midtown Manhattan right now. And to kind of understand that everyone is just doing their best.
And everyone gets a say, like the title of your new book.
Right. Yeah, I think that's something that's really cool about our country, and something that I want kids to learn and fight for, because I think, it's not always exactly that everyone gets the same say, but I think that's an ideal that I would like our kids to grow up with, is to realize that, no matter how much money you have, you get the same vote as everyone else.
That is awesome. Jill, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us. And thank you also for setting your sights on educating the youngsters. I think that's really a neat idea.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me.
Again, Jill Twiss has been our guest. The new book, Everyone Gets a Say, it's available now. I've got a link to it in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
The old way of living with diabetes is a pain. The new way is with a continuous glucose monitor. You simply apply a discreet, easy-to-use sensor on your body. If you test your blood sugar at least 4 times per day and inject insulin at least 3 times per day, or use an insulin pump and have private insurance or Medicare, you might be eligible for a CGM with little or no cost to you. Call now and say goodbye to finger pricks.
800-659-7805. That's 800-659-7805.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Cows don't like Willie Nelson.
Really?
Yeah. Dairy cow produces up to 3% more milk when listening to music, but they don't like, for whatever reason, they don't like country music, especially Willie Nelson. So they say the best music for them is something with a really good beat to it. So I'm not sure what that would be, but they like to tap their hooves apparently and do a little dance. 3% more milk is what they end up getting for that. So now you know. Today's fun fact on the John and Heidi Show. If you have a credit card, our friends at BetterCreditCards.com would like to make sure it's the best credit card for you. Take a few minutes to look at your current interest rate and then see what you get for points and perks. Then go to BetterCreditCards.com to see if they can help you find a better credit card. This will literally cost you nothing, and it could help you save money by getting a better credit card. Even if you don't have a credit card right now, you can check it out too at BetterCreditCards.com. That's BetterCreditCards.com. Time now for a news headline from somewhere in this world. I'm spinning the globe, and today we point at this one. Dateline, Switzerland. The Lindt chocolate factory had a malfunction in their ventilation system, and their entire town was covered with cocoa powder. So a little Swiss town. That sounds delicious. I
bet
to go.
That smelled awesome.
We'll come over and help clean that up. Would that be fun? But I'll bet
chocolate.
It's probably not nearly as much fun when it's just out in the wild.
It's just powder.
And all over the streets. And
yeah,
all
it's
over
just
everything.
cocoa powder. It's not like it spit out wrapped Hershey Kisses or something awesome.
They wouldn't have Hershey Kisses
I understand that because that's not what they make.
Lindt chocolates are good.
Bonbons or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, thanks for listening to today's news headline from somewhere in this world.
If you take Viagra or Cialis, call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Call 800-214-7977. 800-214-7977. 800-214-7977. Again, that's 800-214-7977.
Now, some weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. A New Jersey man was arrested for allegedly hosting a massive house party in Alpine. It was attended by hundreds of people, most of whom were not wearing masks and were ignoring social distancing protocols during the COVID pandemic. 45-year-old Tasha Knight, charged with recklessly creating a risk of widespread injury or damage, also issued multiple summonses, including one for violating the governor's executive order that mandates hosts to require their guests to wear face coverings and practice social distancing. The August 1st party drew 300 to 400 people to an Alpine mansion.
Jeez.
It was disbanded by police at 10 p.m. after they got a noise complaint from a local resident, so somebody that wasn't invited to the party. Authorities say it took 3 to 4 hours and several local law enforcement agencies to clear all of the attendees from the party. So the guy that owned the home...
I don't think I even know 300 to 400 people, much less have all of them over at my house.
If we had an Alpine mansion, we could have a party like that.
Oh, I'm sure.
We wouldn't even have room for 300 to 400 people at our house. Our house,
no.
We would have room for maybe 30 people. That might even be a bit tight.
I think we can do more than that.
You think so?
Oh, yeah, with the backyard. And
well, if you got the backyard.
Yeah.
And in the garage, we could fit maybe 100.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to try it anytime soon. Thanks for listening to today's Weird News.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh, brought to you by InsuranceChicken.com. A Florida woman has been accused of shooting and wounding a woman and threatened another following a confrontation outside a grocery store. 61-year-old Renata Gloria Ray was arrested shortly after the shooting. She was charged with attempted murder and aggravated assault. According to the report, she was exiting a grocery store when she told a younger woman and a man to move away from her. The two women began to argue, and then Ray pulled out a gun. Another woman was leaving the Publix grocery store. Deputies say Ray yelled at her and demanded to know what was she looking at. The other woman began taking photos of Ray with her cell phone, prompting Ray to shoot the woman in the foot.
Whoa!
Ray then left the scene in a car, was pulled over, and taken into custody within minutes.
That's a bit of an overreaction.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. That just I think the theme of 2020 is we all need to grow up a little bit.
Everybody needs to calm down.
Everybody calm down.
Take a deep breath.
Let's all just grow up a little bit. Thanks for listening to today's Moment of Duh. Nobody wants to buy car insurance. It's not a fun thing to think about, but it's something you need if you want to drive your car. So even if you don't want to buy insurance, you probably have to get it from someone. So why not buy it from InsuranceChicken.com? Okay, I'll admit, our website name is dumb. InsuranceChicken.com. Yeah, our marketing department is not that great. but our selection of insurance options is amazing. See if we can save you money each month on our dumb website, InsuranceChicken.com. That's InsuranceChicken.com. Time now for Fake News or Florida. It's where I read a headline. My beautiful bride, Heidi, that's you, by the way.
Oh.
You have to tell me, is this something that happened for reals in the great state of Florida, or is it fake news made up to trick you and amuse me? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Fake news or Florida? Broward County man brought a tiger into a grocery store and then told police, hey, it's my therapy animal. Fake news or Florida?
Fake news.
It is fake news. How in the world did you know that?
I don't know.
I thought for sure with Tiger King and all the stuff going on, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I could see that.
No.
But, yeah, it was fake news. Good job, though, for those of you who are trying to trick Heidi. By the way, I made it even easier for you to submit your fake news stories. There's a special section just for it now, Heidi.
Okay.
We're going to get you.
Okay. Well, you have. I mean, last week I wasn't doing so hot.
Yeah, you were guessing exactly the opposite just to prove a point. I have it at the bottom of the page at johnandheidishow.com.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news, and I think this is good news. It comes your way courtesy of BetterCreditCards.com. Now, here's a cool story. Taco Bell employee saves a man's life in the drive-thru window. How cool is that?
That's super cool.
Clarksville, Tennessee. Taco Bell employee being hailed as a hero for saving a customer's life as he passed out in the drive-thru. Sonia Frazier, who usually works a night shift, came in early to help the general manager. Says here they were seeing cars and hearing a bell go off, but nobody was coming through the drive-thru. One of the managers looked at the camera and saw a car was parked the wrong way, and it looked like it had rolled into the drive-thru and was blocking it. One of her coworkers, Jonathan, went outside to investigate and saw a man leaned over in the driver's seat of a van. So when I got the back door, I saw it. Jonathan yelled, he's passed out, and I yelled to another employee to call an ambulance. Frazier said, we opened the door, and he was blue. I told Jonathan to park the car, and we both pulled him out and put him on the ground. I put him on his left side, and his hands and fingertips were blue. I found a pulse, but it was very vague. And it says Anissa came out with the 911 dispatcher on the phone, and they asked if anybody knew CPR. Frazier, who, she's 37, by the way, worked at Taco Bell for about 14 years, but her previous job was a healthcare worker for 6 years, so she knew exactly what to do. She flipped him over right there, began performing CPR, and telling him everything's going to be okay. After about 11 minutes, first responders arrived. They said I grabbed one of the arms and lifted him into the stretcher, but at that point, they said we already knew he was going to be okay.
Wow.
And she says, I don't look at myself as a hero. This is what I was supposed to do. It doesn't matter who he was or what skin color he had. I just knew I had to save his life. Really was overwhelming after I just smoked a cigarette and cried. So after she finished saving someone's life, she had to smoke and then cried a little bit. It's a cool story. I've got a link to it in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great weekend. Thank you for listening to The John and Heidi Show.